Donc je tiens à remercier donc Monsieur Blanckaert d'être là aujourd'hui parmi nous à SKEMA. Je tiens aussi à remercier Monsieur Hoffman et Monsieur Yvan Coste du MSc Luxury and Fashion Management pour leur soutien. Je tiens aussi à adresser remercier mon équipe pour l'organisation. Et voilà, merci beaucoup.
So I will be trying my best to be very fast, very, let's say, quick for once. The guy you will be having in front of you is one of the very few people I've been admiring from the very beginning of my, let's say, short professional life. In front of myself, I'm having the opportunity to be introducing to you some of the delegates of the Chamber of Commerce, including my friend Jean-Louis Matou, who we have been always admiring Hermès. Hermès has always been, let's say, forging a beautiful way in order to be protecting, developing the French luxury, this beautiful spirit. They are still a kind of family-driven company, which is something which is much more attractive to me from a sustainable point of view. They are those who have been spreading all over the world without changing their soul, and that's the reason why it has been a greater than great opportunity to make him come. And on behalf of all of you, on behalf of the school, on behalf of Cédric Bedini, who was today representing Alice Guyon, I would like to thank him from the deepest of my heart. You'll see which kind of gift we have been preparing for him. I know he's got everything. I know he's been almost fulfilling all his dreams. But I would like him to be teaching you there's no dream too big, and you might be flying always much higher than what you were thinking about. Then the second thing I was to talk about is the Master of Science, which has been introduced right now. Same. It is my latest and last and least company. I will be trying my best to make it at the utmost. We have been opening it in China, and we've been opening it in the US. It's now a dual program. The success is, let's say, close to be reached, thanks also to my friend. Is the one and only with whom I'm able to write, with whom I'm able to research. We've never been shouting against each other. So long life to the master, long life to SKEMA, and thanks Jonas again, and thanks Christian.
I mean, I just say 2 words. I mean, Christian, I mean, it was a great occasion because Christian just launched his latest book, Luxtratter. And in this occasion, I mean, he accepted to be here today to make a speech on the luxe industry. Christian Blanckaert, I mean, you have all seen his CV. I mean, he has made many things. Among the most well-known, he was the CEO of Hermès International for several years. He was the president of Comité Colbert, and he recently have a few more positions. But I mean, Christian, it's our honor to have you with us today. So the stage is yours. Thank you for being here today.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure for me to be with you today at SKEMA. In fact, I met Jonas in China, and we had a good exchange of ideas on many subjects. And therefore, when he invited me to come to discuss with you, I accepted with pleasure. Another reason was that I had never been to Sophia Antipolis before, which is a shame. And that I didn't know SKEMA at all, which is another shame. But we must be transparent. And therefore, for me, it was very interesting to know more about SKEMA and what you're doing. And every explanation I received this morning on SKEMA seems to me to be extremely positive and interesting. My wish for today is to discuss with you as much as possible. Therefore, what I propose to you is to start discussing, telling you what I think, how I understand the world of luxury today. So I can do that for maybe 45 minutes or something like that. And then I think we should open the discussion to have a sort of exchange between you and me, if you want, on all questions related to the business model, which is luxury. My speech is going to be around three themes, or three paragraphs, if you will. First, I would like to discuss or to tell you what I think of the present luxury paradox. Second, I would like to explain to you or to tell you how I understand the specificities of the business model of luxury. And third, I would like to give you some highlights on the key markets of luxury. We can say a few words about China, Japan, India, Brazil, whatever. Yes, I am a luxe trotter. It is true. What it means that for many years at Hermès and before, I went all around the planet to observe, decide, discuss, listen. My colleagues from all countries, and take decision to establish the company or the store, discuss when it was difficult to decide. It was difficult to decide because one of the first paradox of my permanent trip around the planet is in fact around the idea that the word luxury means nothing. It means everything. It doesn't mean the same thing for a Japanese or for a Chinese. Therefore, when you manage a luxury company, the first paradox is to believe, on one hand you believe that you have a clear idea of what is luxury because you have your own culture. You have your own experience. You have your own readings. And on the other hand, when you arrive in a country which you don't know really, you realize that luxury means for them a lot of things which you have never thought of. Therefore, the first paradox is between some sort of arrogance of which you can catch in the luxury brands, which is very successful, and the huge modesty you must have when you approach a foreign market. When I say you must have, I say I must have. Because myself, I have something which I have learned in the luxury world is to be modest. It can seem completely crazy to say that, especially when you see the behavior of some luxury people who think they are absolutely perfect. Because it's a world where you don't talk about weaknesses, you talk only about strength. But it's a total mistake. Modesty in luxury is a key. Just because a Japanese will not understand what you say. And, you know, what surprised me, for example, when I was with Hermès for 15 years, is that when I was in Japan, I was discussing with my Japanese colleague on luxury. I thought they understood because the Japanese, they say, like this. So it means yes, no, no. It means nothing. It means So you leave the room and you think they have understood. As I was their boss, I thought they would do what I said. 6 months later, or 3 months later, or 1 month later, nothing is done. Because means they don't know. They have not understood. In other words, there is a sort of discrepancy or incoherence between your understanding of the word and the comprehension of the word by countries, by culture, by nation. The second paradox, which is very surprising, is an economic paradox. Today, the world is suffering. This is not something I'm teaching you. When I say suffering, there are a series of key difficulties. and from a management point of view, one of the biggest difficulties today is to manage currencies, especially in the luxury business, because all your business is abroad. 85% of the business is abroad in various currencies, and the management of currencies is just a nightmare. Very difficult, especially when you introduce in the management of currencies the question of duty-free markets, where sometimes, and that happened to me, especially in Seoul, especially in Korea, where the products I was selling were more expensive in duty-free than in duty-paid, just because of the variance between the dollar and the won. Therefore, that creates quite a mess. And the management of currency is one of the problems which creates discrepancies and incoherence. But not only that. The world is suffering from general finance point of view. The world is suffering from a lot of differences between the rich and the poor, and social problems, social difficulties, political problems, geopolitical difficulties, and within a context which I think is one of the most difficult contexts we have seen for many, many, many years, maybe since the war, the luxury business has never been so successful. And I say never been, it is true. It has never been so successful. It is a very interesting paradox. Why is it so? You know the numbers. The numbers are just incredible. Today, just give you a few numbers because it gives a flavor of what we are talking about. In fact, the essence of the problem, not of the problem, but of the photograph, is that it used to be in only 15 or 20 years ago, anecdotic. Luxury was anecdotic. And today, the luxury business in general is becoming totally strategic. So you come from anecdotic, it's becoming strategic in 20 years, which is a phenomenon which we don't observe everywhere. You know, LVMH, for example, has this year a sales of 24 billion euro. In 2012, I would not be surprised if LVMH shows something around 30 billion euro. It's a lot of money. It's a big group. But the same for others. Hermès was a small company when I joined Hermès in 1996. And when I met for the first time Jean-Louis Dumas, I remember very well, it was in 1988. The company Hermès in 1988, I'm not sure of the figure, but it was not probably more total sales than 110 million euro or 120 or something like that, below 150. Today, it's more that it's going to be in 2012, if I understand what I see as a result of the third trimester. They are targeting over 3 billion euro. A lot of money, lot of money. But the same happens to the Gucci group. All the Gucci brands did not exist 20 years ago. The Gucci brand was in fact, Gucci was totally down, nearly dead 20 years ago. The Gucci brand was nearly dead, and the Gucci group did not exist. Today, it's something which is going to be around 5 billion euro, something like that in 2012. You know. But the same applies to brands which were so small only 5 years ago. Bottega Veneta 5 years ago was a very small company. It was bought with little chance to grow for some outsiders. And in fact today, I think in 2012, 2013, Bottega Veneta is targeting 700 million euro or 800 million euro. Huge company. Dior is just 1 billion euro, so not so far. Bottega Veneta is not going so far from Dior. You imagine how this world where before it was so small, anecdotic. And today, we're talking huge numbers, huge figures. I'm not talking about profitability, which is in the same side, same speed, you know. The profit of a brand like Louis Vuitton this year, I would guess in 2012 or 2013, is going to be over €1 billion. Over, much more. Maybe $1.5 billion, I don't know, but something big. And LV alone, Louis Vuitton alone, is a brand which is today 6.5 billion euro. Just the brand, Louis Vuitton, 6.5. It's even more than the Coach company, which is $4 or $5 billion. As big as Ralph Lauren. So when you compare all those brands, you see some of big names, you know, becoming strategically, financially, extremely important. Extremely important in terms of sales, number of stores around the planet. You know, you have those brands, they have 400 stores, 500 stores. Louis Vuitton probably has 650 stores. In every country, they have many stores. So it's becoming a sort of huge business models having a great importance. So it's an incredible paradox to see that in a world so difficult, those companies are growing, are going to show in 2012 and 2013 the best results of their history for some of them. Not everybody, but some of them. And some of them who were suffering, like, for example, Yves Saint Laurent, are now profitable again. So even recovering process are shown also. Paradox. Paragraph number 2 is how can we analyze a business model? For people like you, it's very important to analyze business models. Not only to talk about stories, but to analyze in deep, thinking in deep. What is the business model? When you talk about luxury, it's easy to talk about superficiality. But when you go deep in the analysis, it's very interesting. After all, why is it successful? Why this business model is working for so many companies? So for some companies, it doesn't work. Good. But for quite a number of companies, it works very well. Why? What are the specificities of the market? From my experience and my analysis of the markets worldwide, I would say that the first characteristic of the market of luxury goods is that it is a market driven by marketing and management of offer versus industry, where it is driven very often by marketing or management of demand. We are in a world where offer, the offer, l'offre, products offered, are key. In other words, the whole success of the business model is really depending on the quality of the offer. If there is no product strategy and no energy in the product, in the offer, it doesn't work. You can put, in other words, you can put the best managers from SKEMA useless if there is no product. You can put me wherever you like, it doesn't work if there is no product. And this is really the most important point of the business model. It is a model which depends heavily on the product, totally on the product. I would say totally is maybe excessive, but very much. And within the offer strategy, what is key in the business model? a very simple thing is key: innovation. The priority is given to innovation, not to management, to innovation. And the consequence in the organization, in the governance of the business world is linked to the importance given to innovation. When I say importance, it's not the right word. It's priority. Priority is in innovation. Creativity, you can put the word you like. But when you say that innovation is priority, you have to explain what you people are doing with your skills to create the environment for innovation. Because you cannot say innovation. You have to put the keys to create innovation. And for me, when I analyze the business model of the luxury goods, which are successful, it is always linked to the type of organization which is put to generate innovation. To be specific, I can tell you something which happened to me personally. When I joined Hermès, I was coming from what I said a few minutes ago to some of your friends. I was coming from the washing machine, the TV, hi-fi world, so totally electronic, okay? Where rational is everything. You have to be rational. And I entered a world where irrational has a huge place. Irrational. A lot of irrationality. Because innovation is also linked to irrational. And my surprise was total, on several points. First, I realized that some people in the company had no hierarchy. And the hierarchy was out. The people who create in a company like Hermès are free. But when I say are free, it's not a word. It's true. They are free. Free from you. Free from me. It means people like me or you, well, the same sort of people, have nothing to do with them. No link. I was a CEO, not for the creation. Not for creation. No CEO for the creation. And if you don't accept this sort of rule, which is totally opposite to the rules of normal industry, normal, quote, you do not generate the sort of freedom you have to generate. But it obliges you to understand why you do that. In which circles. One day, at Hermès there was something very special. There were the windows of Faubourg Saint-Honoré, with this big street, a big window, many windows, Rue du Faubourg Saint-Honoré. And those windows are changed 4 times a year. Those windows are very important because it's a flagship. When I arrived, I did not understand. I said to the lady who is in charge of the windows, her name is Leila, she's a Tunisian woman. I said, Leila, I'm the CEO. So I didn't say I was a CEO, but I implied I was in charge. I would like to see the windows you're going to open in 2 weeks. Or can I see them before to check if there is, if it's, if, for example, there are products which we have to push. She said, you're pulling my leg by any chance? You joke or what? You are not the CEO for me, you're nothing. She didn't speak like that because she's polite. But it meant that. It meant you don't exist for me. You don't exist. You have no importance. I do the windows I want. I'm not going to show them to you anywhere, anytime. Never. You will see the windows when they are open, like everybody else. I did not understand that sort of behavior because I had been educated at SKEMA. Sort of SKEMA. Okay? It was INSEAD, same sort of teaching program. And my professors, who are much better than me, explained to me that in a company, you are the boss. You manage. You decide. No, absolutely wrong. You don't manage anything. You don't decide anything. You're not the boss of anybody in this sort of program of creation. Worst. After having received the lesson, I also realized that in the windows, there were products which were not on sale in the windows. So customers come, see the windows, see a lovely bag, and it's not on sale. You cannot buy it, because the lady who manages the windows, she makes bags, but not to sell them, to tease you, to provocate you, to make you nervous. It's not very expensive, but it's not on sale. The ambassador of the United States one day, who lives next door, called me 6 times in the day. I wondered why. I had never met him. I said, what's so urgent, Mr. Ambassador? He said, what is urgent is the birthday of my wife. I said, I completely understand. In what sense do you want me to do something for you? The sense is that with my wife we saw a bag. Windows. My wife said, I want that bag. And I said, he said, my love, you will have the bag. So when I entered the store manager told me, only the president can do that for you. The president, that's me. So he called me. This is a number, she said, of the president. Call the president. I cannot sell it to you. So when he called me, I called the lady, Leila, and said to Leila, the ambassador of the United States, he wants that bag for his wife. It's very important because it's ambassador of the United States. She said, go to hell. And I went to hell. That is the worst of the story. I went to hell. The ambassador, I called him back, and I said, I cannot sell it to you. Why? He said, because an American cannot understand that. This is why there is no luxury in America. They don't understand anything in luxury in America. They have no taste. This is extreme, what I say, but not totally wrong. And I said to him, because Leila, who is Leila? She is the lady who managed the store, the windows of the store. But she is under your position. I said, no, yes, no, yes, no. A sort of no and yes. How can you explain that to me? I said, I cannot. This is the point. She is free. And she never sold the bag because she wanted to keep the bag for other event which she had in her mind. And this is something very special to luxury. It is one of the keys of success which you understand when you are in the business, is that your power has to take in account the power of people whose mission is to generate creativity, to create products, to create events within a budget. That is possible. That's no problem, within the budget. But not inside the budget. Inside, they do what they want. That's a second characteristic of the market. The third characteristic of the market is that it's a strange market because, in a way, it's one of the few markets in life. I think there are other markets like that. In pharmaceutical, they probably have the same sort of markets. There is no potential analysis which is possible. You cannot analyze the potential of the market because it's totally driven by offer. When you sell washing machine, I could tell you how many washing machines I was going to sell in the Région PACA next year. I could tell you exactly, with a possibility of mistakes extremely short. Why? Because I knew taux d'équipement des ménages. I knew what was the equipment of household. I knew that you have 2 washing machines in your parents' home, 2 TVs, because your parents have already bought 2 washing machines and 2 TVs. I'm not so sure about you, but it's possible. But they're not ready to buy a 3rd washing machine and a 4th TV. That I knew. Therefore, I could calculate easily. I knew my competition. My name was Thomson. I had Sony. I had Saba in the time, names which have disappeared, by the way, for most of them. And I could tell you how many washing machines I was going to sell. Therefore, I could order the industry to manufacture a number which was quite precise. In the luxury management business model, you cannot say that. I cannot say how many pair of shoes I'm going to sell to you, because you, as a lady, as a woman, you are capable of buying 200 pair of shoes. How many pair of shoes do you have totally useless? Many. A woman can buy so many pair of shoes, you have no idea. You have just no idea. If she likes a new pair of shoes, she'll buy it. She'll buy it. She'll buy the pair of shoes. You don't know how many ties you can sell to a Chinese banker. Maybe 10, maybe 1, maybe 100. You don't know. You have no idea. And the beauty of the business model is that if you start having an idea, you're dead. So you should not have an idea. This is why when we recruit people from business school and they start, explaining to me that in China, I should plan the number of shoes I'm going to sell, I tell him or her that he is totally stupid because he doesn't know anything about the business. He has to learn that don't talk to me about marketing in terms of market analysis. Don't talk to me about that. I never hired in 15 years one marketing study. I never ordered one marketing study. All the marketing studies are totally useless. I can do it myself, cheaper. It doesn't mean anything. Is there a market in Brazil? No market in Brazil. No market for a market analysis. Why? Because it's 80% more expensive than in Paris, in Brazil. 80. So you say there is no market. Because you think that the Brazilian, they can take a plane and buy here 80% cheaper. 70%, 60%, 80%, depend on the brand. But no. In practice, it doesn't work like that. They want everything right now in São Paulo. It's 80% cheaper, more expensive, no problem. You get it now. So the market in Brazil is growing like this. It's 70% more expensive than in London. Explain to me. You cannot. Therefore, it's a market, third characteristic, which has absolutely no limit. And the limit is not only in terms of product, but it's in terms of customer. This is why it's working so well. Is that everybody around the planet wants to be able to buy luxury goods. Whatever is luxury is another question. But they want to buy that sort of product. Everybody. And you have behaviors which says, for example, that only the rich people buy it. But this is not true. Absolutely not true. You have people who have no money who buy luxury goods. What do? they save. I've met many times young Chinese ladies, some of you are from China, who spend 4 months of their yearly salary in buying a bag or buying a dress. 4 months of the salary. Completely nuts, you think. Completely crazy. And it is not sure neither that the next generation of Chinese will approve that behavior. But today it is true. I don't know what happens later with the son or the daughter of those people. But you have ladies in China who do not eat at lunch just to save the money to buy a brand which is a foreign brand with a logo. And the Chinese ladies who are here know that I am totally 100% right. 4 months of their salary. 4. Imagine, it's huge. And some people are very rich, and they buy the same product, exactly the same product. So you cannot say that there is a typical behavior, a typical consumer. You cannot say that. You don't know your consumer. And this is one of the strange things of the market. In 20 years ago, everybody knew his consumer in the luxury world. Alain Boucheron, he knew exactly who was buying at Boucheron, I can tell you. 80% of its customers, he knew them by heart. I can tell you that the Frères Chaumet, the Chaumet brothers, who disappeared, they knew exactly. And at Van Cleef and Arpels, the family Arpels, it was only in 1890, not so far away. They knew who were the customers. And it is true at Chanel. Most of the sales associates of Chanel knew very well the women who were buying at Chanel. But at that time, in 1990, not 80, 1990. At that time, most of the business was concentrated in Europe, and even more in Paris. Today, totally different. Today, everybody can join the club. Everybody wants to join the club. And the reason why everybody wants to join the club varies from country to country. One of the very interesting behavior on this question of joining the club is, in China, but also in Japan. After the tsunami, and the Fukushima in Japan, the sales of luxury goods dropped. And the sales of luxury had dropped before, in fact, because the Japanese economy is suffering, and also because some of the brands have done so much in Japan that some of the logos in Japan are too many. So you had a slowdown or a decrease of the market. But it was very much accentuated by the tsunami and Fukushima. And we observed the market. And what did we observe? We observed that after Fukushima, the Japanese bought luxury goods, bought back. And the market was growing in Japan. And it's still strong, not very strong, but did not collapse. Because the luxury good was a sort of therapy. A sort of, I don't know, people want to make gifts. And the Japanese went to buy luxury goods brands. And the best brands who reacted the best after the tsunami are the brands which are very often the most expensive, but which are linked to artisans, to creativity, to authenticity, to roots, in fact. And therefore the market, the business model of the market is now split between brands which have a sort of non-questionable credibility and authenticity and non-questionable history, and brands which are more based on marketing. It doesn't mean that the brands based on marketing are not successful. It means that the market is split. A typical brand made on marketing is Coach. Coach is a luxury brand. I don't know from my point of view, but from the business model point of view, there is no doubt. It is part of the luxury world. Coach is manufacturing everything in China. And Coach says to the world, I am a luxury brand. When Coach entered the market, I laughed. I laughed really. I like to laugh, by the way. And, I saw Bernard Arnault who said, this is incredible. And I saw the people at Hermès who said, no, they are not going to enter the luxury world. Those people, they're so rude. It's so rude to do that. You imagine they make bags in China and they want to be luxury? And they said, we don't ask your permission to come and join the club. And we are going to do nasty things to you. And they did. They opened stores just downstairs, our stores, just near our foot. For example, when you go to Hermès at Ginza, you get out of the store and you have Coach next door. So it can irritate. It does irritate. Arnaud did not like it at all, and went to, I don't know what he did exactly, but he was not happy. But not only Arnaud, Gucci was furious. The Hermès people were not happy either, of course, because they are making leather bags. The market is split. You have luxury brands with roots, you have newcomers, and that's the market, whether we like it or not. Coach is making $4 billion minimum, maybe 5 this year, with manufacturing in China. And they say, we are luxury. Not the same price, not the same quality, but it's not so bad. Not the same creativity. The creativity of Coach is huge. Very, very impressive. But it's not the same product. But the market, and this is clear, is now so wide. The business model is now so open. There is no frontier. And last but not least, in the business model are coming the foreigners. You now have Chinese, Indians, Brazilians, who are going to create their own luxury good companies. And of course, Shangxia is a good example of a Chinese company where Hermès has a participation, has a share, doing beautiful things, based on Chinese culture, unique only. But the Japanese are very good, not only Comme des Garçons and etc., etc. You know all of them. No, they are very good. So, just to say that as there is no frontier, as there is no limit of potential, as we cannot quantify the market, as everybody wants to be part of the festival, as it is a world which is incredibly open in appearance. In reality, it's a world which looks open, but which is very preserved for one reason. It's now very expensive to enter the market. Very expensive. Because the store's location are more and more rare and expensive. Because the creation of products demands a lot of money. And because the cost of operating is now very, very high. This is why, strange enough, and I will finish the paragraph on that philosophical remark, it's one of the few markets in the world where there is no birth. There is no birth on the market. I don't know anybody big born in the last 10 years. Some people are revived, like Balenciaga, like Yves Saint Laurent, like many others, Schiaparelli a little bit. Some people are revived, like Bottega Veneta. Some are revived. With a new creator called Guillaume Henry. Revived for how long, I don't know. But some brands are regaining credibility. A lot of brands who are very famous are dead. It is a world where you have no birth, very few at least. Frankly, very few birth. But a lot of death. A lot of dead. Among the dead, you can quote many names. Who remembers Bianchini Ferrier? You don't even know what it is. Who remembers Madame Gray, who was a famous brand? Who remembers really Schiaparelli, who was more important than Dior, Yves Saint Laurent, Cartier, or Hermès? Not only 40 years ago, 45 years ago, 50 years ago. I mean, the list of the dead people, of the dead brands, is very big. And the list of the newborn is very short. Some tried. Christian Lacroix tried, but failed. Yves Saint Laurent was a huge success, became a catastrophe, and now, a real catastrophe. Just for your information, Yves Saint Laurent lost in the last 10 years, Yves Saint Laurent, more than 400 million euros altogether in the last 9 years. And he's making money in the last 2 years. But for 9 years, they lost money. And quite a number, and a lot of money, more than 400 million euros in total, I calculate. Imagine Yves Saint Laurent. It's not a small name, huh? So it's a hard business, huh? Last point, and then we open questions. It's interesting to see that the future of the markets are so different. So different. Today we estimate the growth of the market. The general growth of the market will be 6-7%, which is huge, of the market of luxury goods. Today, the market is around 200 billion euro, and it's going to be next year 210, 215, I don't know. It's going to grow like this, 6-7% next year, 2013. So it's a growth. But when you analyze the growth, where is it the growth? The growth is in Asia, and particularly in China. The growth in Europe? No. Stable, 1%. The growth in America? A little bit. 3 to 5%. The growth in Japan? No. Stable, 1%. Maybe 2%, something like that. 1-2% in Europe and Japan. And in Asia, 20%. And in China, 20%. So Asia and China are the growth driver. The consequences of the Chinese importance on the market is huge. China is driving the growth with Asia, but especially China. And the Chinese market not only has potential, but it has a huge potential, which nobody can quote. Just huge. We are at the beginning of the potential in China. I'm not able to quote the Chinese potential. What I see today is that the Chinese market, which is slowing down, when I see in the press that the Chinese market is slowing down, I say I would love to see the same slowdown in Europe. Yes, you know, when you see the journalists, don't believe what you read in the press. This is a general advice. Huh? But if you understand what they say it's Chinese market collapsing. It's collapsing. But this is totally absurd. The Chinese market is growing at a speed which is not the same. True. But today we are in Shanghai, Beijing, but not only. 15 years ago, nobody in this room knew about Chengdu. Dalian, Harbin, Chongqing, Guangzhou, Shenzhen. And tomorrow, many new names will come. What they call second tier, third tier, fourth tier. You have fifth tier, sixth tier, seventh tier. You can go as far as you want. You have 100 cities in China, over 1 million people, 100 cities. In America, you have 9 cities who have over 1 million people. 9. Imagine you sell more, you have more, you do more business today in Chengdu than you do in Detroit. Much more. Therefore, the Chinese potential is incredible. And tomorrow we'll open Vietnam, Malaysia, Thailand, even more, Indonesia. The Indonesian market, you will see it yourself, in 10 years' time will be tremendous. Tremendous. So the future of the potential of Asia is enormous. Thank you.